Alright. I guess it's recording. Okay. So. Alright. So, how many of you have actually made a Sprite sheet before? Okay, cool. So we have a little bit of everything. So let's start with the basics. So this is the origin of sprites and sprite sheets is animation. And basically it's a sprite sheet. It's what you're looking here on your left, which is a combination of different pictures or images that would essentially simulate movement, like the image on your right, to ideally form some type of animation. So a sprite, like I said, are these small images or frames that form part of a larger scene. And the great thing about individual sprites is that you can easily manipulate each one, which is what we want to create that movement. And once we put them all together, it essentially makes that sprite sheet. So, like I said, a bunch of sprite sheet is just all these images put together to represent what that movement is going to be like. For the game jam, my team did like a ninja game. So this is the sprite sheet I made. Since I wanted to make that sword move, I kind of made that movement creation myself because we kind of wanted to make it like move fast, but I just didn't want to make it move. I wanted to create that illusion that is like, you know. So you can either put that in, not put that in. There's a lot of things you can do with sprite sheets, and that's the great thing about it. So sample of sprite sheets. It doesn't have to be just characters. Sprite sheets are just a collection of images that you're gonna put in this video game. So like here, we see some sprite sheets of the movements from Ryu, and then we have a sprite sheet of just what are some of the objects that are gonna be in a game. They are different colors. If they're gonna, I don't know, if one of the lighthouses or telephone booths, it's gonna change different colors, then you have that movement of like different colors. I guess it depends on the game. So some important things to know when building a sprite is think about the pixel size. Like how big do you want this to be? Of course, the bigger the better. This is the same as with photography, better resolution. And you can always shrink it, so that's what I like to do. It's make things big and then I just can manipulate that to make it smaller. Also, it's really important to plan out. It doesn't necessarily, you don't necessarily have to do it, but it helps you visualize what these sprites are going to look like in the future and helps you reduce that guesstimation along the way. But guesstimation is also good because it helps you create new things. So it's really more of a balance, I would say. When we're creating these, we want to create them in an evenly spaced area. So what I mean by these is like, imagine that if we go back to these are all 400 by 400 pixels. Like this, there's a square that surrounds each image, and that is my grid. So I created a grid, so they're evenly spaced, and this helps with the process and like some softwares where we're creating our games, like Unity. Once I just gave the programmer that sprite sheet, and he was able to put that in the program, and the program cut them because he was able to know, okay, if it's a 400 by 400, then he just puts that information in, and the program itself would cut the images, and that helps with the process as well. It also helps when you're creating your own sprite sheets, so we don't want overlapping images or weird edges as well. I always avoid using background colors just because of a lot of issues that can arise. And usually when you want to export PNG, it's usually because you want that transparency in your background. And if you're working in places like Photoshop, or another place I'm gonna show you right now. Always keep your sprites in different layers. Again, this helps along the way with if you want to change something, you don't have to go back and change that one giant one. You just go back to that one individual image. And if you want to duplicate it, you can easily replicate that fixed error that you make or that change, and with it just copy paste instead of like going back to that second image where you gotta do it, and it just saves you a lot of trouble. So, no further ado, let's go ahead and do a sprite. So the first thing we want to do is, guys, go ahead and go to this website. It's piskelapp.com, Fiscal app. And you don't need to register at all. If you want to, you can go ahead. And once you get there, you should just hit create a sprite, and it swings you here. So this is a very simple and very intuitive program. It's free, it's online, it even has its own keyboard shortcuts. I don't think that if this is not helpful, I don't know what is. You can start doing your own thing. I'm just going to start doing my own. So this is the pen tool that I'm going to use. I'm going to use black. So I'm just going to go ahead and create my little character here. You can do an object too. I'm just going to do this little guy. You can go here, change colors, make some eyes, and maybe I want some pixel. So here's my little guy. So this is my character, and let's say my character is I want to make him jump, basically. So now that we have our main character, we're just gonna change his legs mostly. You can do whatever. So you go here and you basically duplicate the frame. So you have your first one that you worked on, and now you have this replica. And we're going to do small changes here, right? I'm going to take the eraser tool. I'm going to erase that. Take my pen. And that's it. So if you guys look to the top of the screen, to that corner, you'll see how that animation is starting to look. Let's just say, maybe I want to make him like jump higher. Then you redo that and you duplicate it. Do the same thing. So now your character is jumping a little bit higher. So here you can start making him go at a faster speed, go at a slower speed. So it really depends on the type of game you're working on. You kind of visualize it here, and that's kind of great. So some other things that are interesting here, right? Aside from the eraser tool and the paint bucket, these are very general. Like you have your square, you have your move tool, right? These are all very basic, and you can play around with them. They're all very helpful. Like, you can select this, the lasso, and then just boop, delete it. I don't like it. Same with the shape selection. So are all pretty similar. So here you can see the different colors you have, and you can go back and reference those. For example, instead of going back here and just changing, it's good to like just have it once. It'll save it down here, so you can make another one. So you can create a palette of colors that you're gonna use in your game, and just keep that as reference down there, and you already have those colors, and you just reference them in that corner. And these are all great things when you're creating your characters. You can have a palette of colors, and this helps with other side stuff. Actually, it helps keep the same the gameplay and the style, keep it very coherent, nothing clashes, and we can talk about it later if you guys want, where to make these like color schemes or where to find them. I know a couple of places we can easily create them, manipulate them, and they're there for you as well. And these are all the same, like you can flip, rotate. These are all very well for like just playing around with your little character here. You can also delete the frame. Like, let's say I don't want my main frame. He's a shorter guy now, right? So I did that. Okay. You can also move your frames. I want this to make the first one. Not much of a difference there, but you guys get the idea. So now, here, preferences. Another thing that helps you sometimes, if you have darker colors like this, sometimes it helps if you have like a lighter background. Same here. It's really up to you, really, preference. You can also have your grid. So you know each one. This is more like pixel art, but it helps as well. And then you can resize. So this goes back to what I was talking about. Depending on your the size of your image, and sometimes I like to go bigger. So sometimes I go like 400 by 400 pixels, and I just go and resample it and make it smaller if I need to. But you can play around with that here. So actually saving this. Okay. So this is the cool thing. If I want to download these two as separate images, we're going to download as PNGs in my computer. So once that's done, if I can go here in my downloads, you'll see that Sprite Sheet I talked about. You see there's no transparency because I didn't put any, but here's my Sprite Sheet. So I have my two little guys here. I can download it as a zip file as well. And I can download it as a GIF, which is a little video we were watching, animation. And if I open that, my computer, it cooperates. Alright, so yeah. This is another way of like looking at GIFs. Is like just put it in your browser and they play. And here you can see this is the normal size right here. This is how tiny my guy is. So that's another thing you need to consider, like where you're placing this. Like you need to consider the pixelation and the size. So this is a good example to do, to just look at how it's going to see in the screen. Just drag your GIF over by your browser and boom, you see how big it is. And if you don't like it, just go back and change it. So those are really basic. You can also import stuff here. I mean, there's really not much to it except what you want to do, depending on what you want to do, what you want to create. Gosh, if I wanted to make him like jump on something, this can be easily 24 layers. I was working with it earlier, and I started with him like having a little box he jumps over, and it was 24. So it really depends on how long the animation you want, how detailed. So it's really something you would just want to play around, depending on your game too. And all this information is easily applied to other programs like Photoshop or PaintNet. It's just having that basic knowledge of what to do and what you're gonna get in the end. So yeah, any questions? Any comments, doubts? I don't know if I have the other one I made. Okay, so doesn't look like I have it.
I have a question that you probably can't answer.
What?
Why, the physical thing, you need the ability to zoom into where a pixel can be the entire screen? Or off the screen because it's so big. For a pixel. When would you ever need to edit a single pixel? You can't. I'm curious why. I want to know.
I don't know. Good question though.
They probably just made a zoom feature and then didn't implement it.
I'm assuming so. It's like, yeah. I mean, this seems like a good idea.
You're very right.
So, build is going to do world creation, and you're going to do character creation. Yes.
So yeah, really, you can do anything.
Is that like growing an inverted shadow, or is it like rocket boots?
Yeah, kind of like a rocket.
Okay.
Rocket boost.
This looks like it would be really useful for gaming.
Yeah, I really like this. This is what I like, because you can visualize it while you're making it.
think GameMaker has one that's like built in very similar to like this, and it shows like a preview for it too.
I haven't
Yeah.
played around with GameMaker enough.
Does it have waiters?
Yes. I don't think you should use anything about making stuff within GameMaker. You should import most of your stuff.
Yeah, I'm just at it, like I
But
used,
you
like
can
back
have,
when I used
you can,
GameMaker, I did.
but you can do multiple things on layers within the game layer. Like you can do motion parallax and stuff
Oh,
like that.
right, I've used GameMaker.
So, okay.
I was just curious if it improved the image editor,
Oh, no.
because the last version of I used,
That's what I just said, no, don't use it.
okay. Because like the last version that I used of GameMaker was like 8. Yeah,
I think-
8.1
I
actually.
bet it improved, but in comparison to just outside.
Anything else?
Yeah. You should make it so it goes up.
That's what I'm trying.
I mean, like immediate,
The what?
because it's like a delayed jump one. I don't know.
I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about other stuff I found. So these are also good Sprite and Sprite Sheet resources. There are tutorials. They're walk you through stuff. Some of them are more Photoshop if you have Photoshop. But I also incorporated these three actually, um, that require no Photoshop, just internet or just a simple download really. Um, and you can also play around with those. They're free, so that's great, especially for us college broke kids. And some other great resources. These are some of the places I spend my time on. Um, these are some of the tutorials slash blogs I find, whether that is to create stuff or something new has popped up in the design world slash video games, anything that can help or be a potential tool. Some inspirations. Of course, Tumblr never ceases to amaze me, and some tools. So that website has a couple of places you can go, whether that is to make pixel art or create games, different softwares, or you want to find music. That specific page will tell you where to go, and those are all great resources. So I can send this, or I don't know if we're gonna put it on the. We're gonna put it up, so you'll have these there for whenever you want to use them later in the future. And these are just to add to the list because everything's personalized to whatever your needs are. But these are my personal favorite ones, and they've been pretty helpful so far. And I keep finding new ones. So these are just the most common ones I've used. I guess that's all I have for you guys. If you made one and you want to show me, that'd be great.